Hey folks, Leave it here once again. Welcome back to another review. Hope you all enjoyed my review of Aquaman, starring Jason Momoa. That's on my 28. That is on my channel right now. Thank you guys for the 245 subs. Keep on watching, keep on subbing, guys. I see those views coming, and just keep on subscribing. I appreciate it. Remember, Levi McNally 983 with the mask profile picture. Yeah, do not subscribe to my one with the my other channel with the Batman Mask of the Phantasm profile picture. You can watch videos from that channel, just don't subscribe. Stay sub to this one. If you're subscribed to this channel, stay sub to here, okay? Oh, sorry. I almost ended up stopping the video. Anyway, we're recording. We're on. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. The volume's on. But anyway, guys, I hope y'all did enjoy my 2018 reviews. I just finished. Now, well, superheroes. Anyway, what I've been doing is a superhero marathon, guys. If you're watching, if you're new, welcome. My name is Levi McNally. Love reviewing movies. If you love anything, you love talking about movies, or sometimes I might want to do different videos. Let's check on this channel. But if you love film, you're a movie buff like I am, you like movies, you want to hear, enjoy hearing movie reviews, then stay tuned in here with me in my room here, talking about films. But anyway, guys, what I've been doing on my channel, is a superhero marathon, and I've been doing what I call the 2010s era of superhero reviews. Movies that came out in 2010 decades, 2010 to 2019. And I am now starting with the year 2019, which is the last year of these 2010 decades. It's about 9 movies to go. Remember, I go by years and months. Now, I did review 3 movies. That was Reign of the Superman, Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Turtles, Batman vs. Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Batman Hush. All 3 movies I reviewed. So they will not be reviewed. But you'll see my review of Reign of the Superman on the DC Reviews and Superhero Reviews playlist. And this film came out in March. This is a Marvel movie. This is the 21st Marvel movie, and starring Brie Larson. And this film is underrated. I love this actress. I enjoy this movie. This is underrated, just like The Incredible Hulk. These films are like to me, this The Incredible Hulk, Avengers: Age of Ultron are super underrated. Even Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, is underrated. I would even say Guardians 2 is underrated. There's quite a bit of Marvel movies I do feel that are underrated, and this is definitely one of them. Or, Marvel movies in general that are underrated, like Daredevil from 2003. I think that theatrical version is underrated. I ain't going all day about what's underrated from Marvel, but yeah, this was definitely good. This is part. Yeah, this is because this movie came out in March, so it's first, and that is Captain Marvel. Yes, I don't care about the backlash of Brie. I don't care about any of that crap. I don't care what she said. I think people just took it too literally. Yeah, I don't feel like this was man bashing at all. I think this was a good female superhero movie. This is not the first. First was Supergirl, which I like this more than Supergirl, but that's just me. I love Adam Sandler, but the film's plot is not that strong, and the villain in that film is weak. And it has some moments that's just not funny in it. Yeah. Yeah, without Superman, it doesn't really work, to be honest. I'm not being sexist by saying that, but if you're going to bring Supergirl into Superman's franchise, you need to have her, meet Kal-El first. But I get it. It was a different time. And then in the 90s, you had Tank Girl and Black Scorpion, which I like. Black Scorpion is a rated R superhero movie. It's a TV movie, but it is rated R. Tango stars Laura Petty. I like those films. And this is, yeah, and Wonder Woman. Yeah. And, yeah, the only 2 female superhero movies I don't like. And a lot of people probably like those actresses more than Brie Larson, but Brie Larson had a better movie. And I'm talking about Catwoman and Elektra. Yeah, those films are awful. Yes, I hate those films. So far, they're the 2 worst I've seen so far, but I'll get to Birds of Prey eventually. But Captain Marvel for now, which I do enjoy. Underrated movie in my opinion. I haven't seen the sequel yet, but for production of the movie, we've been talking a lot about. As you see, Captain Marvel right here on my shirt. I thought it'd be a good shirt to wear for this review. So anyway, we've been talking about a lot about how to write a strong female superhero without making it Superman with boobs. Having this concept back and forth about how to tell a story that's compelling, entertaining, moving, kick-ass, and fun, and also be aware of what those large implications might be. By May 2013, Marvel Studios' writing room has produced a script for a film featuring Mrs. Marvel, and that was used by the character Carol Danvers before she took the mantle of Captain Marvel. Later that year, executive producer Luis D. Expo said the studio was interested in a female-driven superhero movie and had plenty of strong female characters. And also, I think this is better than the Black Widow movie. I'm sorry, from 2021. I didn't care for that film, and I do hate the actress Florence Pugh. I call her Puke Face. I can't stand her at all. Yeah, and She-Hulk. If you hate this movie, go watch She-Hulk Attorney at Law on if you got Disney Plus. That that TV show sucks, and I can't stand the actress in that either. Yes, they should just Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Pepper Potts, or Peggy Carter. And I don't like Peggy Carter either. I don't like her either. Kelly Atwell. But I do like Scarlett Johansson and Pepper Potts. I'm talking about Gwyneth Paltrow. Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, said that if Marvel was to make a female lead film, yes, you could say their first was technically well, Ant-Man was it's more of a team up movie. Yes, it's the first time we see a female being super. Well, not really the first time. Black Widow. It's just not her movie, but this is a solo female superhero movie. For the first time for MCU. It's not the first female. You know, guys don't know what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm saying. It's not the first female superhero movie ever made. No, but it is the first one for this franchise. We'll refer a new character like Captain Marvel for whom an origin story could be told. In August 2014, Feige stated that development had begun on the Captain Marvel film. Some members of the public asked about the project more often than Iron Man 4 or Infinity War. In October 2014, Feige announced that Captain Marvel will be the studio's first female lead film and will focus on Carol Danvers. It was given a release date of July 6, 2018 as part of the Phase 3 slate of films. Feige said that the film has been in development almost as long as Guardians of Doctor Strange, as one of its biggest challenges would be balancing the title character's earthbound adventures with her cosmic powers. He said a writer-director for the film would be announced soon, and female filmmakers were be considered for the project, but he could not promise that filmmakers from a certain demographic would be hired for the film. February 2015, Marvel pushed the release to date back to November 2nd to accommodate Spider-Man: Homecoming. In early April, Feige revealed that Captain Marvel had been included in an early draft of Avengers: Age of Ultron, but Marvel chose to remove this appearance because they did not want to introduce the character before they were able to explore her backstory and personality first. He also said that Marvel would announce writers for the film within a few weeks, and by mid-April, Guardians of the Galaxy screenwriter Nicole Perman and Inside Out co-screenwriter Meg Levin were announced to be writing the film. The duo were put together as a writing team at a pressing speech with separate takes on the character, began work on the film within a month. Jessica Gale, who would later become the head writer for the Marvel Studios television She-Hulk Eternal Law, and I hate that show, as I did AC Bradley, who became the head writer of the Marvel Studios anime series What If. Free found the character being a female superhero to be both wonderful and challenging, believing that the character's powerful could lead the Superman curse of being perceived too invulnerable. Laverne Bernal found that writing a story about a human and not getting too overwhelmed by the warrior representing all women worked best when pursuing a story about young girls who would quit learning to code if they encounter trouble made. Consider questions about females being taught they cannot make mistakes or embrace their own power. This helped the duo realize the part of embracing your power is failure and seeing it more as feedback instead of your character. And they did introduce Brie at the 2016 San Diego Comic Con, so they're already planning for her to become Captain Marvel. But by May, the discussions with Avi DuVernay about directing Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Feige confirmed a month later, saying that he had met with DuVernay amongst a number of other directors and expected a decision to be made by mid to late 2015. That September, Feige said that casting process would not begin until 2016. The studio did not want to try to cast Carol Danvers until they had decided on the direction of the character and the screenplay. As well as the structure of the film, the characters were on the rest of Marvel's phase. The film producer Jeremy Lichman, allegedly getting the character right first, is going to lead the charge. In October 2015, Marvel changed the release date, this time moving it around March 8, 2019 to make room for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Feige stated that in April 2016 that the director will be announced within a few months. First cast members will be announced in 2016, mid-2016. He mentioned that the film will be about Carol Danvers becoming Captain Marvel. The next month, filmmaker Amy Carmichael's name serves as a possible contender. And by June, Brie Larson emerged as the front runner to play Captain Marvel. Larson's cast was confirmed at 2016 San Diego Comic Con. She got $5 million for the film. Larson was intentionally hesitant to accept the role, but couldn't deny the fact that movie is everything I care about. Everything that progressive, important, and meaningful, and I wish I could have grown growing up. She was able to bring the part to some of those emotional things she used in previous more dramatic roles. Larson felt this would differentiate Captain Marvel from other superhero films. Also at Comic Con, Feige said that the search for a director had narrowed 10 candidates and hoped to announce the final choice in the coming months. From over that August that the character's origin story had been changed for the film because of the similarities to the DC Comics character Green Lantern. He explained that the new story is centered around Danvers finding her limitations and vulnerabilities. And Danvers is the most powerful character in the MCU. It become very important in the franchise. Nate Moore, producer Nate Moore, said the film avoids traditional structure from MCU origin stories, which he described as a character having a problem before gaining powers at the end of the first act. At the end of the second act, about the powers. The third act, they provide a villain who functions the same powers. Instead, Danvers starts the film having already gained her powers. In October 2016, Feige admitted that the announcement for the director was taking longer than he previously suspected. The studio was now waiting for more than film story to be defined in the script so they could then the potential directors. Once again, talking about here hiring a female director to direct the film. Feige said that he didn't think it would be a requirement to make a great version of the film, but it was something that Marvel felt was important to consider. Even if that female was a filmmaker, director did not know a lot about the comics. They just had to fall in love with it, and once they presented with it, it was amazing to see all these filmmakers read through. Females writing it now. Feige is, which I bet Feige is the one that wanted to hire Brie Larson, and she did win an Oscar. Even though I don't really care much for Oscars, but I've seen Brie in a couple other movies, and she was good in those films. Yeah. However, Perlman and LaFleur returned in script treatment, pushing additional meetings with director Candace in late 2017. By February 2017, Perlman said despite that Heron LaFleur was being hired almost a year previously, they had only recently gotten their marching orders for the script. Saying that one of the reasons for the delay was figuring out where the film would fit within the MCU. She explained that because the Marvel Studios shifting plans for Phase 3, sorry, the Million Avengers film, Infinity War and Endgame, the duo were tasked with creating various different versions of that film. These were then, with Marvel Studios, discussed executives to determine what worked from each and how it would fit in the Avengers plans as they currently stood, before the writing duo would start the process over again. Perlman also discussed the character's femininity, feeling that it was important to make sure she's not somebody who's a hero in spite of her femininity. Being a woman is part of her strength. The writers also felt the truth that could be diminishing to a female character for the male director, for the male actor, such as they could not have been concerned about writing for Iron Man, but would not play the same way for Captain Marvel. Marvel hired Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck to direct Captain Marvel in 2017. After the duo impressed the Institute over numerous meetings with their vision for the character and because of their experience working into both television and film, Feige said that he and Marvel were particularly impressed with Boden's flexibility to create a divisive range, character-driven stories in their works. Feige said that they focus on the complexity and reality of the Carol Danvers character without being bogged down by the villains and the special effects, and thought that Boden and Fleck could provide this character focus. Filming was scheduled began in June 2018 at Pinewood Studios and Atlanta Studios in Fayette County, Georgia. Samuel Jackson was said to appear in the film, restoring his role as Nick Fury. Larson worked with him. They worked together on Kong Skull Island. It came in 2017. Funny, Tom Hiddleston was in that movie too. Tom Hiddleston was Loki and Thor in the Avengers. So yeah, so she got over two more actors. At the 2017 San Diego Comic Con, Feige revealed that the film would take place in the 1990s. The Krulls would be the film's villains, allowing elements from the Kree Skrull War comic book storyline to be used. By setting the film in the 1990s, Feige notes that Danvers will be the singular hero, while still giving her a different place in the MCU timeline. Executive producer Jonathan Schwartz setting the film in the 1990s, idea from the development process, and gave the character a special place within the MCU. It was also the film to make connections to plot details from past MCU films that are set later in the timeline. Around elements from the Kree Skrull War used the film, said the film would not refer to the anti-superhero act as in the comics, and that the Kree Skrull conflict would almost be a backdrop. They have referred the film to the Captain America: The First Avenger and Wonder Woman, as they were set decades before the present day, as in the film in the 1990s. Also in July, the California Film Commission awarded $21.7 million tax credit to the production, going first the $100 million spent on qualified in state. Jennifer Robertson Dart was hired by mid-August to take over the scripting duties for Captain Marvel. Perlman left the project, stated that the story she and Silver have worked on would be retained in the final screenplay. They liked the script to an intentional one that she wrote for Tomb Raider 2018, which I heard that movie wasn't good. Robertson and John also credited Boden for helping to shape Danvers' voice in the film and for her desire to crave her own path, make sure we weren't retreading the same territory as the release of Wonder Woman, and showing off facades of what women are capable of. Feige said that Captain Marvel would have action scenes that would pay homage to action films like Terminator 2 Judgment Day, since it was taking the place 90s genre, like also Robocop, French Connection, also served as influence with Captain Marvel. They were drawn to the idea of characters finding themselves in their past. By October, filming was slated to begin in March 2018. Feige said that the film would play a role in setting up Endgame, which was set for release after Captain Marvel. That came out in April. This was March. Well, this came out the next month after that. Jude Law was in negotiations to join the film. Yeah. Filming Captain Marvel at the Edwards Air Force Base in 2018. Location shooting occurred at the end of January 2018. Set photos show Larson in a green and black uniform, so the character's familiar red and blue suit. Yeah, there were sets of her in the green suit that she wears. She does not wear this in the film at the first beginning of the suit. Different suit. Yeah. At the time, Marvel revealed that Downey's host, Lee Pace and Clark were set to try the roles of Karth, Ronald Cuban, and Phil Coulson from the other earlier MCU films. Yeah. As those characters were killed in all their previous appearances. But this takes place for events before those films do. Parts photography began on March 19th in Los Angeles. Oh, they de-age Samuel Jackson, which is fine. I could hardly even tell. I thought that was just all makeup. Visual effects for the film created by Animal Logic, ILM, and Just for Like Magic. Quite a bit of effects team. Lula looked, they worked on the de-aging of Jackson Gregg with Lola effects. Lola looked at several Jackson films, including Pulp Fiction, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Jurassic Park, A Little Weapon, and 8-7 for his de-aging. Some of these films were disqualified due to circumstances surrounding the character Jackson was playing. The film's Miss Christian shows scenes Captain Marvel meeting the Avengers and was directed by Anthony Joe Russo. Yeah. But for the music score, Pinar took assigned to compose the film score in 2018. You do have some 80s type 70s songs in here as well in this movie. Not a whole lot, but it's in this movie. And for the marketing, I do remember the trailer and the teaser for the film. Larson debuted the trailer for the first film at the National Air and Space Museum on Good Morning America. Since her character was part of the Air Force, I think Brie Larson talked to them. Brie Larson also worked out, did a lot of exercising for this movie. The second trailer was on December 3rd, 2018, during halftime Monday football game, so Super Bowl, of course. They probably had toys out for the character, of course, some toys and some action figures for the character as well. But the film, it did premiere in London on February 27th, 2019. Phase 3 of the MCU. It grossed $1 billion, making the first female lead superhero film to pass the $1 billion budget mark. Pretty much it did. And it's the 23rd grossing film of all time. The film received positive reviews from critics, with praise for the promises, particularly Larson's, and audience response were also positive. Although the audience reception section of Rotten Tomatoes was subject to review bombing. This is what I think you Rotten Tomatoes, you know. Wow. Oh, some of these are just haters. The movie did win some Academy Awards though, and it did get a sequel in 2023. Well, I know there were some complaints about the trailer and Brie Larson saying that I don't think she said she hated white men. I think she was calling critics white trash or something like that, or people just mistook what she said. I don't really care what she said. Brie Larson seems like a nice person to me and a good actress. I can't say she hates. It doesn't make sense for her white people because she is white, but I do call some film critics white trash though. Yeah, some critics are fucking trash people. Yes, I can't stand Rotten Tomatoes. I don't like Rotten Tomatoes at all. Period. I don't think they have an opinion. I just think they took a personal attack against Brie Larson for some unknown reason. Yeah, and then they complained about her punching the old lady in the movie in the trailer. I'm like, it's a movie. Why are you complaining about that? That is the most stupidest thing to complain about for a film. I think there's been other movies where sometimes certain things get punched or hit, sometimes just to be funny. You know, there was something I was reading. I'm sorry. Oh, the movie is followed by Alex Kenny reading saying "Thank you, Stan," because Stan Lee was on the set, and I saw a picture of him and Brie, or like a photo of them talking and him like hugging on, just hugging Brie and just being nice to her. Seemed like they got along. Yeah, but they wanted to honor Stan Lee because he died on November 12, 2018, with his MCU cameos. Free said that he was done because this was done because the film was Marvel's first since Lee died, and they wanted to start the film by acknowledging him with celebration of his legacy rather than add a similar memorial to the end of the film, which is fine. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, for the cast of the movie, sorry, you have Brie Larson as Captain as Carol Danvers, Veers, Captain Marvel. She's an ex-US Firefly pilot, member of an elite pre-military unit called Star Force. She is imbued with superhuman strengths, energy production, and flight after exposure to the Tesseract energy. Larson described her character as a believer in truth and justice and a bridge between Earth and space. She has balanced her emotional Kree side with her flawed human half. Larson also called Danvers aggressive, quick-tempered, and evasive. To have that in her flight but proves to the character's flaws. Larson trained for 9 months for the role, learning judo, boxing, and wrestling. She also visited Air Force Base and met with, duty airmen, including General Jenna Libet and Thunderbird pilot Major Stephen Delbango, in preparation for her role. And by 6-year-old London Fuller played the young one, and his 13-year-old Carol, played by McKinney Grace. But Brie Larson, she's been doing movies for a good while though. Yes. I think her first movie was actually a Disney Channel movie. Maybe? Well, it doesn't say here, but I think it was a film called Right on Track. She was 13 and going on 30. Sleepover, Hoot. I've seen Hoot before. Yeah. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. 20 on Jump Street. I remember her in that. That was actually 20 on Jump Street. That was probably the first movie, or I think it might have been Hoot that I saw her in. So she's acted way before this movie. Yeah. Proton 12. I remember that movie. She was good in that film. Room. I remember Room. That was a good movie. Skull Island. She did with Samuel Jackson. Worked in that movie. Worked playing, being in this movie. And Just Mercy. She was good in that. She wasn't Fast 10, but I'm like, it's nothing it's free, but I get it. She probably got a good paycheck for it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right on Track was 2003. That could have been her first movie. That was when she was just a little girl, a little kid though. Then you have Samuel Jackson come back as Nick Fury. This is younger Nick Fury before he was the future director of Shield. This is before that, or before he lost an eye. But Samuel Jackson, you should know him for a lot of movies: Doctor with a Vengeance, the Star Wars prequels as Mace Windu, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Pulp Fiction, Coming to America. He had a small part in that. Do the Right Thing. Yeah. Snakes on a Plane, The Negotiator, Loaded Weapon One, which is a spoof of Lethal Weapon. Probably all the Lethal Weapon movies anyway. But anyway, probably Lethal Weapon One and Two. Um, Jurassic Park, Hold On to Your Butts. Playing Mr. Arnold. Kiss of Death, Fluke, Rumbo. I remember Fluke. I like Fluke. That's a good movie. Hard Eight, Out of Sight, uncredited though. Deep Blue Sea, The Incredibles. He was Frozen. Incredibles 2, which came out the year previous. So yeah, that's another. Yeah, and of course he's been playing Nick Fury in some cameos, but fully in the Avengers. But ever since the first Iron Man film in 2008, he's been with the franchise. He's been in the Secret Service. He was the villain in that. He had kind of a lift in that. I can't do it right, but yeah. Ben Morrison is Talos and Keller. Talos is the shapeshifting leader of the Squirrels. Oh, I should have talked about Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel herself. Yeah, this is her with Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. Yeah, Captain Marvel is superhuman strong thanks to both her budget and ability of enchanting her sight by absorbing energy, which comes out of her hands or arms. Her hands. As you can see, these photon blasts that come out of her hands. But if you want to read more about the character, you need to find it in the comic book or just look on Wikipedia. But Ben Mendelsohn as Talos and Killer, let's see. I think I saw him he was in The Dark Knight Rises. I hate that movie. Uh, and he was also in Rogue One. I didn't care for that film either. And Ready Player One. Yeah. Demonge Hogue as Koreeth. He appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy. The guy saying, "What's your name?" He's like, "I'm Star-Lord." Who? Yeah. Because you can say he works for Ron Lee Accuser. Lee Pace is Ron Lee Accuser, a high-ranking Krieg official, who is, of course, the villain in the first film. Demonge Hogue, I can't say his name right. But like I said, he was Guardians of the Galaxy Captain Marvel. I never backed down. I liked him in that movie. Fury 7, he was alright. I liked him in it, but half the time he was screaming a couple times in that movie, if I remember right. Legend of Tarzan 2016. Uh, Deep Rising, Aragon. He was in Shazam Fury of the Gods, playing the wizard. Funny, that movie came out, I think, like the next month after this. That was in April. Lee Pace, the only movie I think is Marmaduke. But of course, he played Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, was the film's villain in that movie. Lennox Lynch as Maria Rambo, one of Danvers' oldest friends and a fellow Air Force pilot who go by a call sign Futon. Futon. She played Captain, a version of Captain Marvel in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. No Time to Die. No, she's not the female 07. Sorry. Gurmit Chen as a mini of her free sniper and a member of Star Wars. Beautiful actress, I would say. Yeah. Antenna Ben as the Supreme Intelligence, and Maria and Marvell, Dr. Wendy Lawson. The Supreme Intelligence that is the collective embodiment of the greatest minds of the Kree people, and they rule the Kree Empire. Yeah. But this lady's been in a couple good movies. The Great Outdoors. I think that was with. Wait a minute. That was with the late John Candy and Dan Aykroyd. American Beauty. Yeah. Clark Gregg comes back as Phil Coulson, a rookie agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who works closely with Fury. Spoiler alert, his character did die in the Avengers, but he comes back in that show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's been doing these Marvel movies since the first Iron Man. And in Thor, uh, he wasn't the first Avenger, though. His character wasn't living around that timeline. But he was in the Avengers where Loki killed him. What Lies Beneath? Oh, he's a screenwriter for that movie? Okay. He was in who? Oh, that's funny because, yeah, Brie Larson starred in that movie as well. Jude Law as young Rogue, the commander of Star Wars and Denver's mentor, who trains her to use her new powers. Oh. But apparently Robert Downey Jr., who, by the way, Jude Law worked with in the film Sherlock Holmes 2009 and its sequel in 2011, Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, he consulted him on working in a Marvel film before taking the part. Yeah. Jude Law, I can't think of any other movies I've seen him in. Yeah, he's an English actor, but he's good. I liked him as Watson in the Sherlock Holmes movies, and I liked him in here too. I thought he was pretty good. Yeah. The Holiday, yeah. Spy 2015, I think I remember him in that. And Stanley did have a cameo in this film, by the way. And they have the cat named Goose in here. Named from the Star Wars character Chewbacca appears in the film, renamed Goose after Top Gun. Yeah. Stanley appears in here in a cameo, measuring the lines for his cameo Mallrats. Oh, sorry, I heard something. Anyway, the film is directed, I know we're in 33 minutes, I'm sorry. It's directed by Anna Cornick and Mark Light. They're a filmmaking duo. They directed movies like Have Nelson, Sugar, Freaky Test. Really, they work on TV shows. They also wrote the screenplay, so did Genevieve Robert DeWitt. I can't say the name right. Who wrote the film Tomb Raider, and that's it in this movie. And the story is by Nicole Perlman, who wasn't credited though, but did some of the dialogue for the first Thor movie and Guardians of the Galaxy. Co-wrote with director James Gunn on that movie. Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, which I like. Meg LaVord, The Baby Dance, Waking the Dead, Gigantic, Inside Out, Oddball, The Good Dinosaur, Incredibles 2. We're on some Pixar movies and Inside Out 2. Based on Marvel Comics, produced by Kevin Feige. Who's the president of the MCU Marvel and Marvel Studios. He's been working on these films. Has been working on these films since the first Iron Man 2008. He's also, I think, produced. Let's see. He's also been an assistant producer, co-producer on Spider-Man 2002, Spider-Man 2, X2, X-Men United, Hulk, Annalise Hope, The Punisher with Thomas Jane. Yeah, in Punisher Warzone and Hulk versus Thor and Wolverine. So he's worked on some live action animated before the MCU came in 2008. And The Amazing Spider-Man, the first Amazing Spider-Man he produced or co-produced. Cinematography is by Ben Davis, who's done cinematography for other MCU movies. Well, you can say Kick-Ass is a Marvel movie, yeah, or was a Marvel character, which I don't like that movie. The first Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers of Ultron, Doctor Strange, this movie, and let's see, Eternals, uh, Raven the Hunter, yay. Edited by Elliot Graham, who's done the editing for films at Last Minute, X2, Superman Returns, Steve Jobs, and No Time to Die, James Bond film. David Berman, who edited this film as well. Edited films like Space Chimps, Touchback, Spider-Man: Homecoming, this movie, Loving Monsters. Music is by Pinner, who I've never heard of this person before. Well, Danny Elfman hired him, or production companies are more studios. It's true, Walt Disney Studios. It was released March 8th, 2019 in the US. It's 124 minutes long, about 2 hours and 4 minutes, I would say, of a running time. And that's not that long. I wouldn't say that. No, it did not feel long. The budget is estimated to be around either 152. I'm going with 175 million dollars. I think it's basically 170 million dollars estimated, but it did make 131 billion dollars worldwide. It made money mainly because you have good actors playing the character, and because of After Adventures in game as well. Yeah, because Avengers: Infinity War, I think people wanted to keep on seeing Marvel movies afterwards. Yeah, that's because I think Marvel, when they come up with their own movies, not all the time, but when it was with Ant Man, when it was with Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant Man, Doctor Strange, people want to go see these movies because they know they trust Marvel. At the time, they did probably to make these movies. Anyway, but anyway, if you've never seen Captain Marvel, there's going to be spoilers in this review. So if you've never seen the movie, turn the video off right now. I'm going to talk about the plot synopsis, what the movie is about. So what the movie is about. I'm going to do that first. Then I'm going to talk about the film itself, maybe some quotes, and give you my final thoughts and opinions on the movie. I might have a little bit of issues, but nothing too much. I'm not saying this film is not perfect. Anyway, for the movie Captain Marvel, basically the story is that of Brie Larson, her character. Her name is Veer. She works for the Kree Warriors. She finds herself caught in the middle of this battle between her people and the Skrulls. She lives on Earth, living on Earth 1995. She keeps having recurring memories of another life as U.S. Air Force pilot Carol Danvers. But with help from Nick Fury before younger Nick Fury, before he becomes the director of Shield, and before he came up with the Avengers you know, initiative, they uncovered the secrets of her past while harnessing her special superpowers, which is in her hands that gives her these powers to also fly. So she wants to end the war with the evil Skrulls, but there are some spoilers ahead. There are some. It is kind of remind you of films like Total Recall or films that were you lose your memory or something like that. It does have that cliche of it, but the film does have a good story, I think. So she has to fight the Skrulls, but meanwhile, she finds out who the real villains are, and she must take on the real villains, and she must find out about her past, find out who she is, and embrace her powers and abilities, and become the superheroine, excuse me, Captain Marvel. And she must save the day and use her powers for good, and she has to embrace it. Yeah, and that's the plot for you. So I'm gonna get into the story itself. So again, if you've never seen Captain Marvel, do not watch this review. Again, if you have not seen Captain Marvel, do not watch this review. Now, I did enjoy this movie. Let me get into why. Well, I'll get more on that later, but I'm going to talk about the movie itself, so we'll get into that. So, for the story of the movie, though, for this long period of time, you have these two alien races, that are the Kree and the Skrulls. They've been at a war with each other for a long time. The Kree are they're the ultimately superior species due to their technology investments. The Skrulls have a number down significantly to the brink of extinction. They want to wipe them from the face of the galaxy. The Skrulls, what they can do is they can shoot their shapeshifters. So by looking at a person, they can shapeshift into them as well. Then when you meet Brie Larson character, her character Veers, we call her at first. She's just sleeping. She has a nightmare about her past. She wakes up, you know, you know, and she does have a sense of humor, you know. And I liked it when she woke up. Like Jude Law was her mentor. Yeah, young Roggs, Yawn is her mentor. Jude Law is, and she's like, "Well, I can't sleep." Well, we have things for that. Like, well, I still get like, and I'd be sleeping if I could use this. He's like, "Hey, want to fight?" And they practice on their fighting. And he's like, "Oh well, then you were distracted. I was not doing this. Well, you knocked me out of shape, but you kind of did it, not very well. But they're fighting. And she's about to use her powers. Like, easy, control it, you know. And she used the food on blast, and him was like, sorry. But this dream is that she sees an aircraft being blown up in front of her, and a woman being murdered by a Kree, by not a Kree, but a Skrull assailant. But it's not just a dream; it's a memory. Or like RoboCop, where they take your memory, where they take his memory away. It does reference to these kind of other different kind of movies, you know, which is fine. I don't feel like they're ripping anything off. Yeah, that's what I like about Marvel then because they could take these characters like Guardians, do something different with them. They can make homages to older movies, but they do it in such a nice way. But these futon blasts, they come out of her fist. Sorry. They talk about, they go on a train to see how the Kree Wars looks, which looks amazing. The special effects of the movie, the visual effects look amazing too, especially when he comes up with the powers. But anyway, they talk about, he makes a joke with her. But they joke around. They're kind of like friends almost. And nobody can look at the Supreme Intelligence. So the person you know the most is the person can't handle it since the Supreme Intelligence is like kind of like a god, like God basically. And she transfers into the actress that we see in the movie that she sees and tells her that, you need to have your powers under control, which that can be taken away. She has like this little brace on her neck, this little uh, point on her neck. When they use it, it can take her powers away. It can weaken her, just in case. It's like kind of like a charge, a battery charge on her neck that they can switch it off if she disrespects them or disobeys orders. So they allow viewers on the team with many Ari Croft, Jamos, I can't say that his name right, Whereas Gasly and Bronstrom Quarthus, alien names. Yeah, she jokes around and she's like, Quarthus like, I look so, I kill my play. Well, maybe you're not very attractive, that's why. He's like, why do I need to be attractive? Your sense of humor just gets on my nerves. And I like that one guy says, but your handsome. Like, oh, thank you. And she laughs. And then, he says, all right. Julius says, all right. And he gives them their mission. But they have to rescue a Kree operative named Solar. Yana informs the team that Solar has been captured on the planet Torfia, and Julo is telling them, instructs the team to perform their instructions on the planet. So Veers and the rest of the Star Force land underwater and use their suits to reach the surface, which is pretty cool. Nice special effect. And it's like, let's go, Kree Force. I was going to say Infinity Beyond, but But you saw them walk on the trailer and the ship. They go. You can't really see it here. I don't know if you can, but she can kind of like wear a mask in her suit. But first it's a green suit, but the suit's completely green, just like Jude Law's here. And they're trying to sneak around. They see the Dwarven natives, which they're trying to figure out get past. And Brie Larson, she's like, for Veers is like, I can go sneak past. I was like, no, you won't. But she sneaks around. They're trying to find this solar guy, and one of them, she's like, got a sniper, and they're like, I don't want to hurt you, back off. And the natives are getting close, and they're like, oh, not a good idea. But then they find out that they're scrolls you know, because the lady that has a sniper, she the crow tries to kill her, but she kills the crow instead. And so they're fighting the scrolls, and Brie Larson finds Tosar, she thinks, but she finds the crow leader, General Tellus, who is disguised as Solor. They kidnap her. The Star Wars retreat. They go through her memories from various points in her life. Like when she was a kid, that she's always been pushed around. Like Carol, well, Veers, she doesn't know she's Carol Danvers yet, but Carol Danvers, she's always been a badass. She's always been, because you're a woman, you can't do anything. You know, she's just trying to prove that she can do what a man can do. I get it, but it's not trying to put sexism in my face. No, it's not. You feel bad for her, especially when her dad gets on her when she's trying to drive fast, like the boys on go karts, and saying she can't play baseball, or when she's grown, being in the U.S. Air Force, trying to jump to rope, and she's being made fun of, and always been told put down on her life. But she's trying to prove herself. She can be a wise ass. And oh yeah, people bitch that she doesn't smile. She does smile. The reason she was smiling at first because the Krees, they're warriors. They're like the military on their planet. When you're in high school, did you ever, ROTC? Okay, but when you see, like, when your school had parades, Christmas parades or just football parades, when they would walk, the ROTC, the junior cadets, people in the military, they don't smile very much. They don't. They walk very serious. And when they do the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner, do you see them smiling? No, they stand straight. Because that's what military people do. And y'all want to bitch that she's not smiling. There's a lot of Marvel posters I could go through, all of them, where a lot of the characters don't smile. So that is a stupid complaint. Yeah, and that's kind of sexist too. People complain about that. Ask me, I think it is. Yeah, Wonder Woman doesn't smile a whole lot, not even in the poster. But yeah, Tank Girl didn't do a smile. She makes a cute face. Black Scorpion did smile. Supergirl didn't do much smiling on the poster. No, she didn't. They do smile in the movie though, and she does have like I said, she does have a sense of humor. But she's it's memories from her past of her hanging out with Marita Rambo. I forget the character's name. Rambo, not Rambo, but well, her black friend lady or whatever. But she was a good actress. Sorry, I just forget her name there for a bit. But you see them singing at a bar, and some guy making a sexist joke, saying, "You know what I call the cockpit, right?" Yeah. But anyway, she wakes up. It's slows down like her memories, revealing that he wants information from her about a light speeding engine. So she oversees his escape. She gets off. She's got like cannons on her arms, so she can't really hit them. She's able to knock them out. She's able to get close to Talos and tell him, "What did you lock him in? Nothing that was already there, sweetheart." Doesn't say it like that. Nothing was already there. He's like, "You shouldn't be messing with my memories." Well, I'm sorry, but we need to know this information, and he won't tell her the information. So she knocks him out. Well, just pushes him, and she's like, "Can't hit with the cannons," which is funny. She's like, and she's like, all these crows are coming at her from left and right. She's like, so tell me, guys, how do I take this off? Okay, now you're not gonna show me. All right, and she hits him, and I liked it in the scene. I know people would think I'm weird, but the scroll like her, she's like, I can't do it. It's terrible to do, but when she did it, that was funny and sexy, by the way. But she knocks him out. She's like, oh, and then just runs. Bree's got a very good run in here. You can tell she is worked hard and was in good shape for the film. Because playing a superhero, you have to be in good shape, you know. And she was. And she was believable. Uh, she knocks out one of the crows. She punches some of them, scuffles with them. Eventually, this big crow, this 10-foot crow guy, huge one, knocks her down, but she gets them off. She just hands her, and she makes a smile on her face. So she does smile. I like that scene when she powers her back. But eventually they open a hole to space, blow a hole off the ship, and you know she doesn't end up in space. Although she doesn't know that at the time. But she gets on the ship. She knocks one of the crows out, and he makes a joke saying, "Oh, just you're leaving just as soon as we were getting to know each other." She takes off, and she crash lands in Los Angeles. This is like 1995. She crash lands in Blockbuster. Man, I miss Blockbuster. I love seeing that movie. You saw like the poster for True Lies with you know Jamie Lee on Arnold's shoulder, just doing this, and Arnold just and she, with her phone to blast on herself. No, that's not a sexist thing. They're doing it to be funny. And then she literally, I saw the VHSs of Last Action Hero, and with Arnold and Hook with the late Robin Williams. So that was cool. This movie will make you feel nostalgia, and I love that it took place in the '90s. This is well, you could say she's the second Avenger. I would say so because Captain America was first, but because that was in the '40s. Carol is, of course, a human, you know, but then this is also before Tony Stark became Iron Man. I would say Tony was probably a kid at this time, a teenager, probably in college. Time that Brie Larson came around. I mean, MCU's timeline. I'm sorry if I'm sounding confusing, but that was cool. She sees this cop out there. She's like, "Are you the one of this? Are you a security for the sector?" Sometimes the guy move there. She's like, "What?" And she hasn't been to Earth in 6 years, so you can say that's a short time. But again, she doesn't have memory of who she is, so she considers herself, Crow warrior, and she knows the crows are coming to Earth, so she has to fight and take them down. She's to give him a call. She gives Arnold phone, telephone before we had cell phones. She's able to reach the Jude Law and tell him about that she's on Earth. I forget what they call it, a sector 53 or something like that. Tells her this you know, don't do anything. You've already been compromised. You've been captured once. You got to give kill you. What orders are to wait. Take us 22 point something hours to get there or whatever. 22 hours. This should be shown her. Then she tries the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D. So she meets Nick Fury when Phil Coulson. This is before Fury, you know, they're just Ricky. He's just an agent. You know, this is before he became director and before he lost his eye. And so that's why, Fury looks like this throughout the movie, which is fine. He's like, oh, Blockbuster cop lady, what are you here for? He's like, I'm against the scrolls. Scrolls, what are you talking about? People that are shapeshifters? Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'll go away. Then the scroll tries to, they get on the beach. Telos takes the cover. These surfer girls. This one comes up, copies him's like, no, this one's already taken. One of the scroll tries to chase her, try to stab at her, but she uses her futon, her blasters from her fist, chases after it, jumps on the train, gets the train, just blows her hair back. She's got that walk too, like with the look of her face. And she sees Stan Lee reading his lines from Mallrats, and this was probably, I would say this in Avengers Endgame where yeah, I missed Stan. Oh, I forget to mention at the beginning the logo of MCU. Every time you see the Marvel Studios logo for every Marvel movie, MCU movie you watch, they do show up for Stan Lee. I really appreciate them for doing that. That was nice, and it's also sad, and it's a good thing that they honored him. I saw the photo set with him and Bree, you know, sitting down on that train in the scene talking, like they're taking a picture or whatever. Yeah, I think he nearly met all the folks that were going to be in Marvel. actors, well, not all, sadly, but she just smiles at Stan, just a little smile. Then she sees the old lady, smiles at her, and she punches her in the face. People complaining about it's a squirrel. And the old lady fights back. These people are grabbing her, thinking that Veers is attacking this old lady, but she's not. But you do get to see her in the suit throughout the movie. You get the action right away, which is fine. You know, with Batman '89, Batman was already Batman. It would have been nice to have a little more Batman in that movie, but again, he was a dark and mysterious character that likes to remain in the shadows, which is different. But I would say Veers is more of a Captain Marvel is more of a well a character that you would see more a lighter character than Batman. But at a train station, that she fights with the lady, the scroll train. Train station. She blasts something on the top of her bridge or whatever. The scroll gets away. She tries to see this guy like punch him and just don't hit me. She don't worry, just like looking around. Fury and Coulson give chase, but Fury realized that Coulson was abandoned at the. He's like, I'm still the blockbuster. Where'd you all go? So he left, and the scroll that he's sitting down with tries to attack him, and he fights back with it and shoots it, kills the bad. He's like, shield, we got this. Well, it's killing the car crashes. Veers is able to get the skull crystal containing her lost memories. Yeah. She goes on the computer because she needs to find some information about Pegasus, tap into some of her memories. This biker guy tells her to smile, but she steals some clothes and steals his bike, which I thought was funny. To Panko's bar, and where she has memories of with her friend hanging out. Talos takes possession of the deceased scroll. Taylor, who is like his, Talos takes of his boss and he says, "Brother, you'll be okay," and you're going into plane full of like heaven or whatever. And so I wouldn't touch that. Or Nick Fury talking is like, "Well, I've never seen a dead alien before, but it was an eye-opening experience." Then he work with Veers and eventually hand her into Shield custody. Fury does find her at the bar, and he's convinced that's what that. She's like, "Well, are you a Skrull? Well, I gotta make sure you're not a Skrull." And she asks him like where he was born, and he tells her about his history a little bit. Tells her about something. The person's like, "Well, you didn't need to know that." No, I didn't, but I enjoy it. It's like, I don't know. Then she shoots a photon blast at the music box. It's like, well, Skrulls can't do that. Well, isn't that supposed that the two question each other to ensure that they're not Skrull imposters. She takes her to the Joy Dark Energy. They get in there. He's saying that she wears the hat. That's why she dresses in the hat, and she's trying to learn about what Pegasus was up to. About the lady's name was during her memories. Yeah, she goes through these memories a little bit and is able to find out that it was named Wendy Lawson. Yeah, she learns that she was a fighter pilot for the U.S. Air Force, United States Air Force, with Maria Rambo. They under the village of Lawson for a project Pegasus. Fears recognized Lawson as the woman murdered in her dreams, and later learns from Rango that she was a Kree. That instead she was a Kree named Marvel. It does sound like Marvel, I know. Fury reports the location of Killer and imposes evasions led by Killer. Fury is able to realize that Talos is the scroll that's, pretending to be Killer. That's because, when he talks to, people call you Fury. What does your kids call you? Well, if I have kids, Fury. Parents, everybody calls me Fury. Everybody does call me Fury. But Teller, Keller, who's Talos, the guy in charge of the scrolls who's there, is there, sorry. He says, he calls him Nicholas. And people don't call him that, so Fury knows this right away. Fury and him have a little tussle. And before he can do something, Veer shows up and blasts him with a futon blast. Doesn't kill him, just knocks him out. They just try to escape. Clark Gregg, Coulson sees them. I was like, they're not down here, you know. So he goes rogue with her. So Veer's, she tries to question him, calls Yongu, calls Jude Law about it, tells him that she was a human like me, that I lived here, I had a life here, now took that away from me, you know. It's like, Veer, you're letting your emotions get to you. You are a Kree, you are a Kree soldier. You need to get your emotions together. And then they meet Goose, who he's just like, hey Goose, and Goose is a very cute cat. They hijack it with it. Oh, so you know how to drive? Yeah, I do. See, there you go. And she drives off. He's like, I want to tell your boss, you would tell mine. They joke around and Bree does smile, by the way. She goes to confront her. She's like, I'm looking for Marie Rambo and her daughter Marka. They're surprised to still see her alive because they thought she had died. The daughter's of course happy to see her, but her friend after 6 years just is angry at her for just not being there. Yeah. But of course she was a fighter pilot. They talk, they kind of rekindle the relationship. It was like, you didn't show up for 6 years, you know. But eventually Telos comes in his form. They first point a gun at him, but he's like, I'm taking these. He's like, that tells her that you're working for the wrong side. That it's the Kree that wants to wipe out the Krolls. They're just using you. And she does have a flashback because they're able to get this flash drive. Sorry. They get this flash drive and she remembers the past of riding in the airplane, the helicopter in space, the helicopter in space, the jet in space a little bit. It crashes. That's when the futon, the tesseract that she had was going to use for her project, blows up in her face. Just Bree shoots it. Carol shoots it, and it blasts her. That's how she got her futon. All her powers comes from that. Yeah, she was simply killed with Lawson in there, but she survived it. Lawson did die because she was shot by Jude Law. Jude Law was actually there, and knowing of her powers, take her and decide to use their weapon, as you can say. They also identifies Goose as Lawson and Danvers' pet. They also told them of a black box from the plane crash. Tells reveals that the Danvers was being deceived by the Kree and that the Skrulls are simply homeless refugees on the run from the Kree. On the radio station, the Kree want to wipe them out. Oh, it was from the black box, sorry. And the assassination was done by, oh, again, like I said, Jude Law. So that's where she got her cosmic abilities from, pouring energy from the exploding engine. So she got her marriage back. Yongru, Jude Law, authorized by the Supreme Intelligence, trained her into becoming a Kree operative. That tells us that Marvel, Marvel was actually a Kree double agent who was attempting to help the Skrulls by testing the light speeding engine, which can help them flee Kree occupation forever. And the black box in Danvers' memories contain the coordinates of a former laboratory floating in Earth orbit that Marvels has used, containing that the Tesla Discovery was the energy core that powered the engine. The next day, Yongu they arrive on Earth to confront Danvers, but realizing that it was one of the scrolls tricking him that she knows killed Julo. He killed the scroll, and they attempt to hunt her down. They go into space, yeah, along with Fury. And the test is like, you can turn things. Can you ever turn into a file cabinet? You can. And Fury's like, I'll give you $50 or something, $100 if you turn into a file cabinet. If you say shifting things like, I can't do that. It's the Tesseract. The Tesseract I'm talking about. If you remember the Avenger, the Tesseract, and Avengers Infinity War that has an Infinity Stone in it. Yeah. Yeah, Danvers, Fury, Tellus, Moria, and Goose take the Quinjet to the laboratory. Tellus gets reunited with his wife and daughter, which is sweet to see. And she's, Fury does have emotion. Like the scene where she's crying and she's like, I don't even know who I am. He's like, you're Kara Danvers. You're a pain in the ass, but you're a tough ass woman who helped me, supported me, helped me and my daughter, a true friend, an auntie to my daughter. You were your family. And that was a sad moment. But then when she meets Talos, his family, she's like, I'm so sorry for what happened. But then Law and the other Kree soldiers show up. And this is the way where, oh, I got to mention where the daughter makes up her suit. You know, you know, we get her suit, which is worth the wait. Like I said, superhero movies are always about the story. Even if they have their powers, it's always a bit of an origin story or just a story that comes first in the first place. The Star Force, Freed Star Force abandons them. I mean, ambushes them, and they said the powers that can be taken away, and the light bulb goes off in her head. Well, the the button they have to control powers, you know, Supreme says that can be taken away and takes it away. And he has their first fight with the inhibitor, with not the inhibitor, but with the Kroll. The Supreme Intelligence, the Krolls. You know, she's like, oh, music, so nice to listen to. And she's like, you're under our control. Your power's taken away now, and it's like she's captured, and they got her like she's tied up in a blob or something. Yeah, I'm not making this stupid. It's like ropes. It just looks like the blob or something she's tied up with. But as she's in this memory or talking to the Supreme Intelligence, she fights her back. She tries to punch her in the mouth, but she can't. Just punches right through her mouth, and she throws her over. He's like, "You are your memories." But eventually, she fights back. She's like, Veers, calm down." He's like, "My name is Carol Danvers." Destroys it, and fully, we get to see her power, and she uses it, and she destroys the Supreme Intelligence. Yeah. And goes to battle with Star Force. You got that scene where she breaks out of it with her eyes going glowing. I don't know if you can see the scene in here, but she does that, which is cool, and the music was good too. And all the Star Force that she just, yeah. Fury realizes that Goose is actually a Frilligan, and it witnesses her abilities firsthand after Goose swallows the Tesseract. And of course, there's a scene where, if you remember Guardians of the Galaxy, where Groot picked up the bag of Sleuth. Same thing with what he does, but I think Goose eats the bad guys, takes them down. In a battle though for the Tesseract, Danvers is overpowered with Cross. Sure, and she knocks them out one by one. She's like, "Hey guys, they had a Tesseract in a lunchbox that is a lunchbox of Happy Days with the Fonz on it. Henry Winkler, that was nice." Even though the show came out, I think, in the 70s, but anyway, that was a nice little fight scene. She kicks their butt, especially Jude Law's. Squirrels escape the courtyard with Rambo and Fury and Goose. Talos gets shot by Jude Law. He gets one of the accuser to dispatch the Kree missiles, kill them. They're going to try to kill Danvers and the Skrulls, but Danvers destroys the missiles as she falls into space. She's able to get her powers. She like closes her eyes, and awesome scene where she puts her mask on and we see her full power. She, you know, grabs a missile, throws it. She punches these missiles, knocks them out in space, destroys these missiles with these warships. The accuser to retreat. She looks at Ronan, and Ronan's like, "Let's go, but we'll prepare next time." Young Julo tries to get her to battle with him, but he's like, "You're weak. I mentioned my friend, but now we're gonna just fight." She just knocks him out. He's like, "I don't need you telling me what to do anymore. You're not friends. You're not my friend." He sends him to a halo with a warning for the Supreme Intelligence, declaring war, saying that come after her again, I'll stop you. And she even tells the Supreme Intelligence, if you kill the Skrulls, I'll destroy you. Yeah. But in the aftermath, Goose claws his Goose, you know, and Goose claws like claws, well, scratches Fury's eye while his guard's down. The Skrulls take temperature of the Rainbow residence. Ambrose goes to help. She tells him, "I'll be right back." She gives, you know, Marie Rainbow hugging her daughter a hug. Telling "I love you guys. You're my family." And since she's gonna go away from all, she expressed her destiny as Captain Marvel to use her power for good, to fight, you know, for those who need to be protected and fight for good, And she tells friends love. She also gives him a communicator to turn on only for emergencies. Only for emergencies, she tells them. They also mention the word Marvel, and they just give each other fist pump, which I thought was cool. And it was like, only call me when you need me. And we see her flying out there, and the movie ends there with Danvers accepting her destiny as Captain Marvel. And at the end, you see Fury in a post-credit scene. So we can get you a new eye, or whatever, but that doesn't work. He just gets his eye patch, of course. Then he looks at Danvers' time, not her time, but her call sign. When he looks in the picture, it says Avenger. So he says the Avenger Initiative, and she supported that in her honor. Then you have mid-credit scene set in 2018 after Fury's death in the snap, the blip. After Infinity War, which you do have, I'm sure. Well, you have Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Don Cheadle, and Mark Ruffalo coming just around the roles in this post-credit scene as Steve Rogers, Natasha Black Widow, Bruce Banner, and James Rhodes. They analyze Fury's pager when he contacted the paper suddenly shuts down, you know, and she's like, "Okay, you tell me right away." Black Widow says, "You tell me right away who this person is," and when you communicate, you're working. And she turns around, and then of course that's when you see Captain Marvel. I think when she probably filming two movies at the same time, but that's why Brie takes a little more. But Brie does that, and she's like, "Where's Fury at?" And then you get another one post credit scene of Goose throws up the Tesseract on Fury's desk while he's out of his office. He's blah. That was a funny ending, and that's Captain Marvel. Yeah. Anyway, with the opening of the so it is true that Kree burned your eye only because you refused to give them the Tesseract. I would neither confirm nor deny the facts of that story. You know anything about a lady blowing up at a blockbuster? Witnesses says she was just for a laser tag. Oh, she went that way. We have no idea what other intergalactic threats out there, and our woman's security force has a prior commitment on the other side of the universe. Shield alone can't protect us. We need to find more. Of course, talking about the Avengers, like That first being Iron Man, Tony Stark, but you know, then it just goes more weapons and more heroes. You think you can find others like her? We found her. We weren't looking for her. I have nothing to prove to you. You have three names. What do people call you? Fury. Just Fury. Yep, no, no, that's not Joseph. Just Fury. What does your mother call you? Fury. What do your friends call you? Fury. Kids, if you ever have them, Fury. If you call me young lady again, I'll shove my foot up somewhere where it's not supposed to be. Let's look at what that is. Your ass. That was funny. That's when Celis comes to confront her and Maria says that. What is it? It's SHIELD logo. Does counting your identity on clothing help with the cover part of your job? Nick Fury said the space soldier wearing a rubber suit. Tell me the second you get a signal. I want to know who's on the other end of the thing. Where's Fury? Maybe the details so bizarre so Squirrel can fabricate it. If a toast is cut, I can't eat it. You didn't need to. You didn't need to do that, did you? No, no, I didn't. But I enjoyed it. Space invasion, big car chase. Truth by told, I was ready to hang up. Tell him I'll meet you today. Well, I could use a co-pilot. No, no, I can't. I can't, Mario. Kratos, I've been fighting with one hand, time behind my back. What happens when I'm finally set free? But then we'll just, yeah. Oh, let me, he gets his finger, Fury got his fingerprint on a tape that he's able to work. And he's like, and then she shoots the door that the next door they have to go through. That's, you know, locked. And he says to her, "You sit there and watch me play with that tape, and all that I had to do was, and all you had to do was, Dad, I didn't want to steal your thunder. Take the trash out, leave the lunchbox. Me, yes, I'm not touching that thing. You want me to get an oven mitt? Whoa, get the scores on the Gorget and go. Take the flirt with you. All right. Anyway, we're about 1 hour 17 minutes in. I'm going to end the review here. Let me get my final pen, and then we're done. Okay. To get my final pen on Captain Marvel, I love this movie. I enjoyed it. I thought the film had a good story. Yeah, you could say the whole thing with the memory loss. One guy I heard on Facebook saying that she was like Nemo or whatever. Not Nemo, Dory from Finding Nemo. No, she's not. Dory didn't have photon blast, just comes out of her fins. So, yeah. But it doesn't matter RoboCop, even though But the difference is Danvers is human, and Total Recall is different because Danvers doesn't have a twin that's evil. So if you've seen or someone that's tricking her, she has people who's tricking her, but it's not another version of her. But I thought the story was good. I thought Anna Baldwin and Ryan Flake. I thought the script was pretty good. Yeah, it's written by the directors and just one person, which is fine. The story was good. Yeah, I thought the film was good. I thought the cast was Brie Larson. I thought did a great job. To me, she's Captain Marvel, just like Christopher Reeve's Superman, Michael Keaton's Batman. She is Captain Marvel to me. I don't care what anybody says. You know, she's nearly perfect for her role, just like Robert Downey Jr. was perfect for Iron Man, or Chris Evans as Captain America, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, or Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. She fits the role like a glove. Yes, in my opinion. And her character I thought was a badass. It has an interesting. She does have emotion. She does smile. Yes. This is the first female lead superhero movie in the MCU, and it worked. It made $1 billion because it had a good story. It's entertaining. The action is good. Yeah. You were talking about shitty Marvel. Have you seen the Venom movies? Craven the Hunter. I'm sure this is better than Madam Web. I'm sure it's better than Birds of Prey. From what I heard, that movie does a lot of man bashing. This movie didn't do man bashing. Did not. It's a female lead who is a good character, and the actress does a good job. Yes. I don't understand why Brie Larson gets so much hate. She's a good actress. She's beautiful. And even if she didn't win an Oscar, she's still a great actress. I don't need an Oscar to tell me that she's a good actress. You know. And she got to work with Samuel Jackson. So if she's not that good of an actress, how come she gets to work with Samuel Jackson, who, in my opinion, is one of the greatest actors, one of the best actors ever in Hollywood? Yeah. So she works with a good cast here too. So yeah. And the cinematography is nice. The visual effects when Carol uses her powers in her suit is really cool. When she gets to use her powers, the Pluton, it's badass. And when the action hits, the action is real good. I love Stanley's cameo. The music score wasn't too memorable, but when it was there, it was good. But when Carol was flying and using her powers in space, that was cool to see. Uh, the editing, the action scenes, some were a little choppy, and there's like the scene where they go to that Tofar planet that's like it's a dark looking planet, so I had a hard time seeing what's going on a little bit. But unless you're in a movie theater and it's all movie theaters are dark, of course. But when you're watching a movie at home, like I do, sometimes you'll have a blinds, the sun will come to the screen, and it's hard to see in the movie. But in the film's 124 minutes long, it doesn't feel like it. 2 hours and 4 minutes is nothing to me. 2 hours and 4 minutes didn't feel that long of a movie. 124 minutes, and from what I heard, the sequel wasn't even that long either. But the superhero movies, I'm talking about after the year, after when we got to the 2020 decades, for some reason, well, that's because the Avengers Endgame is longer than this. That's about 3 hours. But then every Marvel movie tries to be that way. Yeah, like I said, I'd rather watch this over Birds of Prey, Black Widow. There's two actresses I can't stand over. One of them is Florence Pugh, I think. Florence Pugh, Pug, whatever her name is, Pugh Face. Yeah, no. And that's why I'm not seeing Thunderbolts because I have no interest in that. If she's going to be in that, you know, and it's better than She-Hulk, and I'm sure I'll think of it better as Madam Web. Yeah, I'm sure Madam Web. Did Madam Web make $1 billion at the box office? I think fucking not. Hmm. From what I heard, I think that film was a flop. Yeah. Birds of Prey, I don't think did too well at the box office. Honestly, starting a female superhero league movie, TV show, this is probably the last one that was actually good. And Eternals. Angelina Jolie, good actress, but she looked bored. And then having what's next? Selena Hayek, whose name I can't even say. I'm sorry, not that good of an actress, in my opinion. Yeah, just tries to be Avengers Endgame. This movie is its own thing. Yes, it does, take inspiration from other movies, but I don't feel like it ripped off. It had an interesting story. It's 124 minutes long, about 2 hours and 4 minutes. It went by at a good pace. It's got a good story. The action is good. The visual effects are very beautiful and stunning in this movie. The makeup for the scrolls look good. The only problem I say, I don't like how Nick Fury got his eye. The cat Goose scratching his eyes. I do like the character of Goose. Yeah, it's a cute cat, but cat that has tentacles coming out of his face. But the cat just scratched the I'm like, really? We couldn't have Fury. Maybe Fury do a little more action, a little more fighting with the scrolls. I get it, they're a bit stronger, but he can fight with the Star Wars a little bit. Maybe when I have Jude Law like slash at his eye or something, you could have done that instead. Unless Marvel, because it's PG-13, they said we shouldn't play. That was a bit lazy writing there. I'm like, how Nick Fury got his eye? We could have done it so much better. Or maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe his eye was just like that before. I don't know. But anyway, you didn't really need that. We didn't need a history lesson of how he got his eye. I don't think that was important. Nick Fury does a bit of action here and there, but it's cool to see him in a Marvel movie. Seeing jokes like he even sings in one scene, and I thought that him and Brie Larson, were a good team. I bought them being his friends, and yeah. And again, Brie, she used to work with Samuel Jackson. I mean, that's an honor. That's wow. Once you're working with one of the best actors in Hollywood who's been in the game for a long time, done good movies, good performances, that's something, all right. And even been in Star Wars and Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, he's been in a lot of popular movies, and Samuel Jackson, working with him, one of working with the best actors of all time, that's got to be something. You know, yes, but Brie Larson can act. This is better than Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. I cannot stand Daisy Ridley. I can't stand Rogue One. I know that's 2016, but I can't stand Felicity Jones. Yeah, but Brie can act, and this movie is good. Captain Marvel is underrated. One of the most underrated Marvel movies. One of the most underrated MCU movies too. And Marvel movies in general, same thing. But anyway, Captain Marvel. I enjoy this movie. Can't think of another problem. The music score is also memorable. Yeah, yeah. The music score I didn't find that memorable. And how Nick Fury got his eye, I thought that was done in a very lame way. And the humor is good too. The humor works in the film. I thought it was entertaining. The acting I thought was good. I thought the acting was good. Despite those two problems I have with the movie, still entertaining movie. I love Captain Marvel. I love Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. I think she's a great actress. Sue me. Just like Scarlett Johansson is, in my opinion. They've both been in movies since they were young. Yeah, and Brie Larson, I think maybe her first movie was right on track. That was a Disney Channel original movie. So she's been in movies since she was a little girl for a long time. So she knows how to act. Yeah, just go watch Room. Go watch Room from 2015. It's a drama, but she's good in it. Or, Short Term 12. Go watch that. Bree's really good in that. You know, this movie definitely proves that a woman can be a badass. I mean, not just in that, but like Aliens, sort of greener, sort of Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver is a badass, but in Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, well, in Alien 3 especially, I've seen that, and it seems like she didn't give a crap. Jamie Lee Curtis, or some of the female characters in the Friday 13th movies. Not Neve Campbell in the Scream movies is a badass, but you know, but thing is, she is a woman and she is a badass. She can handle herself in a fight. There's nothing wrong with that. She can do anything a man can do. She's a woman, but she can kick ass and take some names. A woman can be too. We've had Black Widow, Gamora, yeah. But anyway, Captain Marvel, Wasp, you know, Hope in the Ant-Man movies, and of course, Scott's daughter, Cassie, becoming getting her own suit in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, which was cool. Quantumania, that was cool. And playing by good actors in that as well. But anyway, Captain Marvel, my rating for this film, I'm going to rate this film 4 to 5 stars and a thumbs up. So guys, tell me in the comments down below, what do you think of Captain Marvel? Have you seen the sequel? What do you think of this movie in your opinion? What do you think of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel? What do you think of this film in your opinion? And how would you rank the MCU movies in your opinion? Just the one that came out in 2010s. Let's just go with that for now. I haven't seen all the Marvel movies. Not even some of the new ones, but I'm going to eventually. But Captain Marvel, I can't wait to watch this. I can't wait to watch the sequel. So I enjoyed this. I loved it. It's underrated and overlooked. Doesn't deserve it. It's underrated. This is like the second black sheep of the franchise, in my opinion. The first being Incredible Hulk, and this is like they're the black sheep. They don't get the most talked about because of bashing of what somebody said, and people nowadays just take things too literally. I think. Um, not everything somebody says is always woke or whatever you're thinking. But anyway, the next 20, now like I said, we're on the year 2019. This film came out on April 5th, and this is I think, is this the sixth? Go ahead and get it on my phone. Okay. This is the seventh installment in the DCU that stars Zachary Levi and Mark Strong. And the next review is going to be Shazam. Yep. I love this movie. I can't wait to talk about it. But Shazam, which will be next. So stay tuned for my review for Shazam. Nah, I got backwards, but that's good. But Shazam is next. And stay tuned for my review of Captain Marvel. I mean, lose my fucking mind. I'm sorry. My rating for the Captain Marvel is 4 to 5 stars. Once again, thumbs up. So tell me, guys, in the comments down below, what do you think of Captain Marvel in your opinion? And stay tuned for my review for Shazam. Hmm. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. And that'll be it's a DC movie, by the way. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that, but as the character Shazam would say, Shazam.